We good?
Yes, sir.
All right. So here we are. How you feeling today, man? I know you fell off that last day on your nutrition, it looks like. But you know, is that just a one day thing? Do you have strategies for getting back on your nutrition?
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of this last week, I would say, has been a bit rough, and I didn't really realize it until last night. But, it kind of started with like skimping on my morning routine and rushing through it and then getting on the phone first thing in the morning, all those things I'm trying to avoid. And so, yeah, it just kind of trickled down from there until I got to the point where I was like, I'm fucking lost here. So last night I took a little bit of time and I kind of sat and did some breathing, worked through the overwhelm and anxiety I was feeling in the moment. And then, yeah, I just kind of wrote out some lists. What is it I need to do every day? What's most important? What am I lacking in? And then I set up blocks, an hour for this, hour for this, hour for this with check marks, so I could just check it right off and see it's done every day. I got my big old whiteboard hanging up over there. And so I just kind of
Nice.
mapped. Yeah, it was nice. I just kind of laid everything out, and it's kind of some of the same stuff we've done together. Just laying everything out, prioritizing, figuring out what I can do in bulk and what has to be spread out. So yeah, basically my plan is just going in, with these set times with the checklist, and I set a specific time every day to write down my food log. I set alarms for all my feeding times and, my self-care stuff. So, yeah, I think just going to jump in with that.
Excellent, man. Excellent. It sounds like you really took everything that you've learned and kind of put it into practice to cope, and that's all we can do, man. That's beautiful.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah. And I really appreciate both the guiding meditation that we did the other day, the body scan, and then also I don't think we recorded either of them, but just the functional breathing exercise that we did has kind of jump started me back into making time for those practices every day. And I had really fallen off with that for quite a while. I had been inconsistent with my meditation and my breathing, and so it's really nice to be able to kind of dedicate that again. So yeah, so I appreciate the kind of the functional skills there and the little jump start.
Excellent, man. Well, I'm glad I could help you out, and I'm also glad that you were able to recall it and act on it when you needed it. That's not just me. That also shows how much effort you've put into practicing these things before, so that they even occurred in the first place. It wasn't just a conversation. You tried it, so it was in your body too.
Definitely.
That's how I see that. So
Yeah.
with all that, I'd like to know how because you sent me those makeshift ones that did include your meals, and that's great, but it meant that I didn't really see how your sleep has been or see any notes because before you had sent a whole paragraph of notes on your energy levels. So how is your sleep and corresponding and how is your energy levels been
um
with all both before and comparatively during all of this?
it definitely took a hit. You know what I mean? And I didn't even consciously realize that until this morning, going through my routines again and kind of realizing how it helps me step into my day. Yeah, my energy level definitely took a hit. I kind of slipped back into that habit of just like shutting down and passing out. And so, yeah, I definitely noticed a difference there.
Okay. The good thing of that, right? Because we want to keep some positive here, is that the lesson is learned that one, these things definitely, without a doubt, have an impact on your life. And you have found maybe not the perfect routines for you, but you found things that work and you're starting to move towards that. And that's also huge, right? I mean, you don't want to short yourself on that appreciation.
No doubt. Yeah, I really appreciate you pointing that out too. Because that was something I recognized last night as well. Is like, a couple of years ago, it would have been, I'm feeling overwhelmed. This is all too much. Run. And now it was, I'm feeling overwhelmed. What's going on, and how can I make it work? I feel like that's a
That's
huge shift as well.
fantastic.
No
That's
doubt.
awesome. That's awesome, man.
Right.
Yeah, those are the moments that in my life when I get to witness them with me that I kind of live for, like that makes the whole effort worth it. When it's like, oh, I didn't even go to where I used to go. I
Right.
went a totally different, and look how it led to better things.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Mm.
Fantastic.
No doubt. Yeah, it is. It is a really good feeling, especially when I tend to kind of downplay those things a lot, my excitement of my accomplishments and just excitement in general, it can be lacking sometimes. So, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, man. And it also means that you found a response to obstacles that worked once so you can try it again next time something happens.
Definitely. Definitely.
To stop, analyze, and then plan based on your analysis.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's awesome. So on that note, I take it that means your walk and exercising fell off, but you said you planned everything. So did you get back to your walk today? And is the inverted row working for you? Because that was the last exercise that I know you were having trouble getting the pull up. So we talked about a setup for the inverted row. Have you been able to work that?
Yeah, the inverted row is going well, and even with the fall off, it might not have been in the morning every day, but I did get to walk in every day, I believe. So yeah, I just keeping on with that, kind of playing with the idea, like, do I want to do my workout and then walk, or is it better to walk and then do the workout? But yeah, it's just kind of a minor thing. So
Absolutely. And I would say ideally, because I haven't given you, any kind of stretching warm up, any kind of routine, ideally you would want to walk, do some exercises and then walk.
okay.
That way the walk is both part of the warm up, is basically the warm up and cool down for now. While it's just these three basic exercises, I think that should be more than enough. Normally I would argue do it after because it's great for a cool down, but nothing wrong with doing it before. It's just, especially early on, we're going to be working on, when it comes to exercises, we're going to be working on form, right? Because the better your form is, especially once you start pushing yourself hard, the lower your chances of injury. And we're almost to the point where just age becomes a factor. 40 plus and age starts to become a factor in injury likelihood. So let's get that form down now so that then you don't have to worry. And technical adjustments, technical attention, and things like that are best done when you're not exhausted by anything else. Gotcha. So in the more immediate future, I will recommend you lean more towards the walk after the exercises if you want to put it one or the other.
Okay. Yeah, and that actually works out perfect because I'm working back into doing stop and flow every day, and so that has a movement piece at the end that is kind of like a stretch or controlled movement. So maybe eventually I can just kind of substitute that for the first walk and then exercise and then hit the walk afterwards. So okay.
There you go.
Yeah. There's a big emphasis on holding the right forms and keeping your movements in flow. So.
Absolutely, much like Tai Chi.
Right. Yeah, it uses a lot of elements of that.
So you already mentioned a little bit, but is there anything else you'd like to say about the meditation, the body scan meditation we did a couple days ago? Is there any more insights you found? And
yeah, it was a lot more profound experience than I thought it was going to be, for sure. And I think just the afterwards and thinking about it, like moving the individual toes and how specific you got with the muscle movements, it made me aware of how just out of touch I am with my body, and how little focus I put on it as a whole, and all its different components. And so that was really interesting to me, but also just how engaged I was able to get into it. Obviously the guided part helps with that, but just the movement, the really, really subtle movements, trying to keep it as small and subtle as possible and just twitch the muscle, just getting to that level of focus was, I think, very helpful for me as well. So I don't know if this is a direct correlation or not, but I've noticed a lot since doing that. I'm starting to feel, because I've done it a couple times, like at night and stuff before bed as well, and I'm starting to feel more subtle changes in my body when I'm in different emotional states. For example, I notice more now when I'm like clenching my face when I'm breathing or meditating with my eyes closed. I notice like little twitches or tightening in the chest when I get anxiety. And so just, I'm noticing more physiological responses that I think I have just kind of ignored or deaded myself to being sensitive to. So, yeah.
Absolutely. No, I could definitely see that being a correlation. Um, and I think the more you do it, the more you're gonna notice that stuff. I throughout my day multiple times find myself adjusting just because I'll notice like, oh, my shoulders are starting to get a little pulled forward.
Yeah.
So I've been on the computer all day. So like, okay, gotta reset myself as it were. And that kind of goes with just the general findings on posture, anyways, of like you shouldn't sit in one posture for more than, an hour straight. You should shift. It's actually good to do that and blah, 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 because we're not actually meant to be sedentary creatures and da, 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 da. Well, this ties right into that, right? That helps you be more aware of that just on a natural level. And I hope that you keep finding it to be so awakening to your senses and your connection to self, because I think that is one of the most useful parts of it. And again, I think that does or will, in your case, will contribute to your ability to connect and work the muscles you want to when you get into the more specific exercises. The mind muscle connection, as they call it.
Yeah, no doubt.
And you said you did that a couple of times at night, so you have been doing it since then and more than once.
Mhm.
Has it gotten easier each time you've done it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it gets easier. I'm still the toes mess me up though. I feel all weird when I'm trying to move them, so it feels weird. But yeah, no, I feel like I was able to do it pretty well. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't remember finishing it either time, but I know I got at least like mid body.
Yep, yep. No, I know I told you in the beginning of the guided there, I've fallen asleep more often than not when I do it. So I definitely feel you there, man.
No.
But I'm glad to hear that it's been so helpful, that it is something that just after one time you were able to start doing on your own and even incorporate it into your daily routine in a useful way. That's always our goal here. If we find tools that are completely useless, I mean, at least we found stuff that we know doesn't work, but still it's always better to get those ones that do. So that's great.
Oh yeah.
Now with that, you said you've practiced the functional breathing a couple of times.
Mhm.
What about the box breathing? We did the box breathing as well. How
Mhm.
about the box breathing?
I have used it a few times, not quite as much as the functional breathing, but yeah, definitely that as well.
And is that something you found very helpful?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Both of them are very helpful for sure.
And do you do those at the same time? I mean, do you do the box breathing and or functional breathing at the same time at night when you do the body scan, or are you doing those more like in the morning or something?
Both, honestly. And then like throughout the day, I'll stop and do shorter periods of just like the functional breathing or double inhale. I kind of tend to mix it up between the three, double inhale, box breathing, and then the functional breathing. But I really like the functional breathing because I'll get a reminder, like you said, every once in a while, I'll be like all hunched over. And so I'll just sit back, just kind of lay back and breathe for a few minutes. And I really like how it helps me refocus and just kind of lock in, I'll say.
Nice. And when you do that, it helps like bring your focus back and everything, I hope.
Oh, yeah.
Do you find yourself, or first of all, do you find yourself checking your breathing more now throughout the day?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And when you do you have you yet found that you've started to just breathe that, like you'll be like, oh wow, I'm breathing that way right now. I didn't even realize I was doing that.
Yeah. I've noticed that my breathing has moved. Yeah, I guess it has moved to the diaphragm more so. Because I feel like I used to breathe like chest and stomach out, and now I'm just breathing more. I like how you said it. I think but you said like expand the lower rib cage, like 3D.
Fan
That
3D, the lower rib cage. Yes.
yeah, that really helped me kind of get a better picture of how I was supposed to be diaphragm breathing. Because before I was just trying to pull out, but as soon as I put that both dimensions in there, wider and out this way, I don't know, it just kind of locked it in for me. So yeah, I notice now as soon as I become aware, like mouth breathing or whatever, I'll like just automatically close up and start diaphragm breathing. So
Nice. And nasal
yep,
more than mouth.
yeah. Yeah, and
Okay, cool.
I'm noticing it's a lot easier to breathe with my nose now, just even in like a week or so of that.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. I'm really glad to hear that.
No doubt.
Because that's definitely something that I'm trying to share with people, that's even if it's difficult, it'll get easier. So it's great to hear that it is actually happening, that I'm not just sitting here blowing smoke, as it were.
No doubt. But yeah, now that these things are becoming a little more natural, a little easier, it's really the benefits are off the charts for sure.
I'm really glad to hear that. So would you like to give another guided session a try? And in it, we could explore, because you've done box breathing a number of times, so I'm guessing you know how to do the count and everything like this. One, we can revisit all of those just to touch up any small things that are lacking. You only heard me do it once with you. And two, I could teach you one more type of breathing called cadence breathing, which is just a different count. It's the same setup, different counts. That's all. And it's just meant to, instead of bring you centered like box breathing, it's meant to specifically soothe the nervous system. So it'll actually relax you even more, even deeper.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think that's one I've heard of before. So yeah, I'd definitely be down.
Okay. And in relation to that, I would just like to know what kind of count are you using when you do the box breathing? Is it a 4 count? And do you find that doable? You're not straining to get that in?
No, not at all.
Okay, because one of the counts goes up to 6 in cadence breathing. So I just want to make sure we won't be, pushing you beyond where you're already pushing yourself.
No, I mean, like even a 10 count is pretty comfortable for me. Like a 20, I think is really, really stretching it. But yeah, no, that should be fine.
I know you said that you fell off a little bit here, but are you still feeling okay about trying to lock the meal timing in as well at 10, 3, 5, and 8? Okay, do you have that written down too? So you're getting back to that?
Yeah, I actually didn't have the 5 meal in there, but yeah, I could put that in there and give that a try as well.
Okay. You fell off a little bit there, so if you just shoot for those 3 for now, and then you can slip that 4th one in just like we did before, you take it in increments.
No doubt.
But I just wanted to make sure I still had the correct information there for what you're trying for.
No doubt.
And then, based on our conversation thus far, I'm having your current goals being working into, not just doing it, but working towards a walk after the exercises. And then getting back on the routines.
Yep, you got it.
All right. And then I'll put here sticking with meal times. Awesome, man. So then until next time, just focus on getting, like we just said there, those things, particularly, the routines, because I think that's the foundation of it all. And, logging things, because that does help, right? I hope that helps. If it doesn't help, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult and I'm not used to it, but it definitely does. It definitely has benefit. Writing for me is always beneficial. So, yeah.
I just think it helps to, even though you're right, it does take that little extra piece of attention. It also kind of, because it takes attention, keeps your attention on what you want it to be on. rather than, especially early on, which is also when it's the most difficult. You know, most
Oh yeah,
difficult things usually pay off the biggest.
definitely, definitely. And I think
I
just
just want to
the
make
fact
sure
that I
there is benefit there for you.
Yeah, I think just the fact that I didn't have a set time that I was like writing everything down every day, I think it was just kind of messing me up a little bit, just kind of like, oh, I'll do it at the end of the day, or I'll do it as I eat. Like, I get real general sometimes with my ideas, and then I don't lock in. And so, I think locking in and just like, oh, time to write down my meals for the day. I think that'll help too. So.
Yes, absolutely. For me, my strategy is I have to write whatever it is down when I do it. If I don't write it when I do it, it ain't getting written down.
Right.
So, to each their own. If for you one time during the day and you're able to keep it all up there all day until then, great. Just keep your attention there right now to find out what method best works for you. Maybe it's writing it down at the end of the day. Maybe it's at the beginning of the day before. Maybe it's as you do them,
Oh yeah.
whatever it is that works for you.
Yeah. And chances are it'll probably be a mix. You know what I mean? I'll probably wind up just jotting it down in a notebook and then typing it in at the end of the day, or adaptability. But yeah, I think just
Absolutely.
having that intention of like, okay, this needs to be regular. This needs to be on point. So yeah.
And from there, because I know you're working towards, bigger business goals than just what we currently have right now, it'll be helpful to know how to keep notes on what you're up to, because in business there are certain things, finances, yada yada, that you have to keep a certain amount of attention to.
Quite meticulously. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I definitely I see this all as just growth opportunity, because it is really setting that foundation. All of the stuff I'm doing, yeah, is learning, but just the art of doing it and doing it effectively is really, that's the skill I'm really excited to hone in on. So yeah.
Absolutely, man. And you're already doing it, because a lot of it is just having the ability to, instead of throw in the towel because it's not working, stop, again, analyze like you just did yesterday, and be like, okay, wait, I can do this. I just have to figure out what I'm not doing right now, adjust, and then it'll work.
Right.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Doesn't mean I gotta
And
throw in the towel.
yeah, and that was also a little bit of dialectical I was working on with myself last night too. Is like, this is where I want to be. This is the path that's leading me to the future that I'm trying to cultivate. And so, like, how can I jump all in? How can I be engaged in this? So that's not the point I was trying to make, but I forgot in the middle, so I changed it. But yeah.
It's all good, dude. It's all good. No need to rush. We're only at a half hour right now. I mean, this is a short session, it's looking like. So take your time. If there's anything else you want to mention, I think we've already covered all essentials. So, any questions, concerns, any of these strategies you'd like to talk about and more,